Today's affirmation card is, I let go of all expectations. And the back reads, I flow freely and lovingly with life. I love myself. I know that only good awaits me at every turn. So I wanted to do some affirmation cards along with the other readings I've been doing, because the other reading, tarot really hits you over the head with the message. And so I wanted to do some oracle cards and an affirmation card and start doing that daily as well to kind of like spread good messages to people. So today, I let go of all expectations. I flow freely and lovingly with life. I love myself. I know that only good awaits me at every turn. So this affirmation, can be for people who are feeling unsafe and feeling, afraid about what's going to happen and worrying about the future. The realistic part of it is that we can't predict the future, right? So we have to just do our best to continue to believe in our own future, believe in what can happen for us, and what will happen for us is meant for us, right? So I have Kindred here. And this is telling me, rely on your community and to reach out to your community a little bit more. Embrace those connections with the people around you and people that you feel a kindred spirit with. People who you feel like in your soul connect with, like what your personal feelings are. I also have union here. So ensure that you are strengthening those connections with the people around you. Make sure that you're making it clear that you guys do have a network between each other and the community between each other. For some of you guys, this is romantic relationships. So, to the next level of what would be the next progressive level for you, next progression level for you in your relationship. And for other people, it might just be in your community in general. Like, make sure that you're ensuring that this, what you're giving is coming back to you. Make sure that the people around you know that you care about them and that you're there for them and want to support them. And do it for people who, would do the same for you if they had the energy and everything. You know what I mean? Don't pour everything you have into someone else's cup until you have nothing, and then they won't pour it back. You know what I mean? Make sure that it's a mutual exchange. And you can do this even in really small ways. I'm not like saying like super test your relationships or something, but I'm just saying like really think about it. You know what I mean? Like if you would go above and beyond, like if you'd help somebody move, that's already a big one. A lot of people don't want to help somebody move. If you go and help somebody move and you are like that committed to being friends with them, but then like they won't pick you up, like if you're like stranded somewhere, even if they have the means to and they're not doing anything, like really consider those relationships with people and like who is giving to you in the same way that you're giving to them and who is not asking for an unequal amount either. You don't want somebody either who's constantly asking you for things. And then they do something for you every once in a while, or somebody who's overly doing things for you because they want you to do things back. Like this is a union, not a tit for tat, I guess is the way to describe it. I have wildness here. So this is telling me also to embrace your weirdness, embrace the part of you that is like a total weirdo, and just be your natural self, and that does always help, honestly, like kick out people who are not kindred spirits, is whenever you just act like yourself. If you're being, and I don't mean like a negative side of yourself. A lot of people think their true self is their triggered self, and that's not true. Your triggered self is your survival instinct from trauma. It's not who you are deep down. That's not to say what you do whenever you're triggered is not still your responsibility, but it's not who you are at your core. Who you are at your core is decisions you actively, consciously make. And something to consciously do is to become aware of your triggers so that you can target those moments whenever they happen. So I don't mean something like that. What I mean is more of like just being your silly, goofy self, or like, things that you actually genuinely like. And don't be afraid to like speak and say like what it is that you want to say that, like you feel like is contributing to the conversation or whatever it may be. And if you're being met with people who act like you're super weird for liking what you like, or act like you're a total freak for, saying something positive, then like that's not your kindred spirit, I remember I had this friend for a very long time, and our communication was confusing for a long time. I didn't understand like what was going on between us. And then eventually at one point before we hung out, she said, I don't want to talk about anything negative tonight. And I was like, okay, fine, fair. She also knew I was going through something traumatic, but I guess she didn't want to talk about it. I was like, that's fine. I want a break from what I'm going through anyways. And so we go out and I start talking about positive things in my life, positive changes, like things that are going well and stuff. And she literally kept saying, I don't want to talk about anything negative. And so she made me realize that like she sees my life as negative. Things that were big breakthroughs for me because I had, you know, I've experienced a lot of hardship personally as a chronically ill person, as a person who grew up in poverty, as a person of color who has, you know, mixed parents or whatever. I've come from a lot of these like different situations of having to overcome things. And so whenever I'm talking about overcoming something and somebody still just sees it as negative, I was like, this person isn't for me. Like, this person doesn't understand me. They don't see me for who I am. Like, they just see me and they just see a negative person. And so I was just like, this is not a kindred spirit. So if that story is helpful to anybody in recognizing maybe someone in your life who treats you similarly, or, you know, maybe being confused about interactions with like friends you've had that maybe don't need to continue to be in your circle now, even if they've been in your circle for a long time, that story's for you. I have the worker bee here. So this tells me that you're a hard worker. You are the person in relationships who does usually do the work. You're the person who's going to call somebody. You're the person who's going to text somebody. You're going to put in the effort, put in the work. So see in your relationships who is also putting in the work, you know? I also see a lot of people feel uncomfortable sometimes whenever someone is putting in work and, you know, they want to chase the unavailable. So the person who's not available is like the person they're going to be texting and they want to hang out with that person and that person continuously rejects them in some way and they still continue to pursue that person. Don't fall into that trap because that's just you trying to fix a wound from your childhood. Don't fall into that trap. That person's not your kindred spirit. Look for people who want to put in as much of a relationship as you do, someone who is showing up for you. And if maybe they, you know, they can't go to these plans or something, they make an effort to make plans with you next time and then they actually show up, you know. As a super introverted person, I try to do that with my friends, you know what I mean? I'm usually fine just being by myself, but you know, if I do make plans with a friend and then it falls through for whatever reason, I make an effort to make sure let's plan something new, or, you know, or let them know like, hey, when you're available, tell me, you know what I mean? And we can plan something out. And that is effort into a friendship and into a relationship. The last card we have here is inspiration. And so I think also look for people who inspire you, and really bring out that creative side of yourself. Someone who, after you're done hanging out with them, you feel really jazzed and buzzed and excited, you know what I mean? Not someone who makes you feel confused, someone who really just like makes you feel like, oh, I'm so excited about what's going to happen next, or like, you know, I feel really inspired to write this or draw this or create something. Like, being with that person really just made you feel energized. And so that's going to be your group. And so I'm going to say the affirmation card one more time. I let go of all expectations. I flow freely and lovingly with life. I love myself. I know that only good awaits me at every turn. And I'm thinking that this is whenever you invest in relationships that are worth it for you. Let go of the expectations of people to always be available for you, or the expectations that someone, in a negative way too, that someone's always going to reject you or people aren't going to be there for you. Let go of those expectations and allow yourself to freely and organically show yourself and be yourself. And I'm not saying you always have to be positive either. Just be unapologetically like how you're feeling. You know what I mean? The reason I keep on going back and forth with that though is literally just because like we do have to also, like, you can be yourself, but you also have to filter yourself. Does that make sense? Like, intrusive and impulsive thoughts is really what I'm getting at here. So if you are feeling a lot of confusion about these things, then you should take some time to kind of like understand yourself a little bit more, so that whenever you do enter in relationships, you can enter them in a positive manner and in a way that is a true expression of yourself, your silliness, like who you are deeply as a person, but in a way that is also constructive and respects boundaries and isn't testing limits and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I have for today with the affirmation card. I'm a little rusty on it. I haven't done affirmation cards in a while, but if you enjoyed it, then please like, subscribe, comment, whatever it is that this video is on, whatever platform. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.